Ho, every one that thirsteth, come you for water, and he that hath no money, come you, buy and eat. Yes, come, buy wine and milk, without money, and without price. Welcome to Harbingers Inkhorn. I give this message only at the beginning of the books, not each chapter. I have come to offer water in a thirsty place, to declare the former things, and the new which come forth now, to proclaim the year of the Lord's good pleasure. Read along at www.mechon-mamre.org. That's www.mechon-mamre.org. Go to the top of the page, click the English Bible at the top. Then you can select the book that we're in. If you ain't online, you can follow along with your King James Version. Some words will be a little different, but the meaning, it can't be missed. I ask that you forgive me when I commit an error.
All right, Amos, chapter 1. The words of Amos, who was among the herdmen of Tekoa, which he saw concerning Israel in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam the son of Joash, king of Israel, 2 years before the earthquake. And he said, The Lord roareth from Zion, and uttereth his voice from Jerusalem. And the pastures of the shepherds shall mourn, and the top of Carmel shall wither. For thus saith the Lord, For 3 transgressions of Damascus, yes, for 4, I will not reverse it, because they have threshed Gilead with sledges of iron. So will I send a fire into the house of Hazael, and it shall devour the palaces of Benhadad. And I will break the bar of Damascus, and cut off the inhabitant from Bakoth Avin, and him that holdeth the scepter from Beth Eden. And the people of Aram shall go into captivity unto Kir, saith the Lord. Thus saith the Lord, For 3 transgressions of Gaza, yes, for 4 I will not reverse it, because they carried away captive a whole captivity to deliver them up to Edom. So will I send a fire on the wall of Gaza, and it shall devour the palaces thereof. And I will cut off the inhabitant from Ashdod, and him that holdeth the scepter from Ashkelon. And I will turn my hand against Ekron, and the remnant of the Philistines shall perish, saith the Lord God. Thus saith the Lord, For 3 transgressions of Tyre, yes, for 4 I will not reverse it, because they delivered up a whole captivity to Edom, and remembered not the brotherly covenant. So will I send a fire on the wall of Tyre, and it shall devour the palaces thereof. Thus saith the Lord, For 3 transgressions of Edom, yes, for 4 I will not reverse it, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. So will I send a fire upon Teman, and it shall devour the palaces of Basra. Thus saith the Lord, For 3 transgressions of the children of Ammon, yes, for 4 I will not reverse it, because they have ripped up the women with child of Gilead, that they might enlarge their border. So will I kindle a fire in the wall of Rabbah, and it shall devour the palaces thereof, with shouting in the day of the battle, with a tempest in the day of the whirlwind. And their king shall go into captivity, he and his princes together, saith the Lord. All right, let's go back up to verse 1. Amos, we see, is a herdsman, and Amos' period is going to take place, we see, is well documented by the kings he mentions. Uzziah, who was the king of Judah, and we'll just pick it up here in verse 1. The words of Amos, who was among the herdmen of Tekoa, which he saw concerning Israel in the days of Uzziah the king of Judah, in the days of Jeroboam the son of Joash, king of Israel, 2 years before the earthquake. So this time is fixed now, in this time here, it was 2 years before the earthquake. To give an exact date, of course, when we went through the book of Kings, we did not find this earthquake mentioned. But this would be that when the earth shook, and this 2 years now would be to witness now this understanding, or this circle, or these years even that took place. Uzziah was actually Azariah, was his real name. They called him Uzziah, but Uzziah means the strengthened of God, and Azariah means the supported of God. So they're very close in the same thing. And it was during his period of time, and him and Jeroboam were both kings during the same period of time. And Jeroboam means, we know, was this contention that was sent among the nations, even what God did send among the nations to be contention. 2. And he said, The Lord roareth from Zion, and uttereth his voice from Jerusalem, and his pastures of the shepherds shall mourn, and the top of Carmel shall wither. So, Amos, this was a very aggravated time in the history, and we can go back and read this in chapters 14 and 15 of Kings, and find idolatry was rampant and bad in them times, and the prophets were angry, and God was angry, and when God gets angry, the prophets do begin to prophesy. But Amos is saying God is roaring now, and that is like a lion when it roars, because it's going into the hunt. And this place, the Zion, is this place that's made dry. It's a dry place, and Jerusalem is this place of peaceful teachings. And he's declaring now that the pastures of the shepherds shall mourn. And this is the pastures where the shepherds would take their flocks and graze them into the fields. Now they're going to mourn because the grass is going to be withered and gone, and the top of Carmel, this garden land, shall wither. So this is judgment, and that's what we remember from that period of time, was these great judgments of God that he was declaring by his prophets that were getting ready to take place. 3. For thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Damascus, yes, for 4, I will not reverse it, because they have threshed Gilead with sledges of iron. These 3 transgressions, and this 3 is still in representation of complete, because it would be when the transgressions of Damascus was complete, and Damascus is that place where the sackcloth weaver now is weaving silently. And for 4, he will not reverse it, because 4 is the work of God, and that's what we found there in these stories of this, was the work of God being done, and this would be the witness of it, because they have threshed now Gilead with sledges of iron. And these sledges of iron would be these words of men, these teachings of men, used as a yoke or a threshing instrument. And in this case it was threshing instrument. And these sledges, and Gilead is this place where the stones witness, and these are those that understand and know that they are being threshed out now with the teachings of men. For so will I send a fire in the house of Hazael, and it shall devour the palaces of Ben-Hadad. And we remember Ben-Hadad. He was Hazael's father, and Ben-Hadad means the son of the mighty one who moves softly. And Hazael was this one who perceives God, or even understands God. Hazael had a son and called him Ben-Hadad as well. They're first mentioned in chapter 8 of Kings, and you can find that there. But he's declaring now he will send a fire into this one who perceives God, into the house of this one, and this would be where he lives. This would be right into his dwelling place. He will send a fire, and this fire is going to represent the law of God, for it does consume. 5. And I will break the bar of Damascus, and cut off the inhabitant from Bekothavan, and him that holdeth the scepter from Beth Eden, and the people of Aram shall go into captivity unto Kir, saith the Lord. So God's declaring this captivity for Damascus. This is the place where the sackcloth weaver is working, and we're going to find out all these prophecies are in reference to one, as they have been from the beginning. And this Bekoth Aven, this is where they keep the first fruits. This is the place where they would store the first fruits. And him that holdeth the scepter of Beth Eden. This scepter would be the power, the strength, the rule over this house of pleasure, Beth Eden. Beth Eden means the house of pleasure. And these people of Edom, these enlightened ones, shall go into captivity unto Kir. And Kir is that place where the walls got a hole in them. And this hole is so we can look in there and see them, and we will. We will. 6, thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Gaza, yes, for 4 I will not reverse it, because they carried away captive a whole captivity to deliver them up to Edom. And 3 transgressions of Gaza, these complete, when the transgressions of the winepress are complete, Gaza's the winepress. Yes, for 4, because it's his work. This winepress that he's set up there is his work. He will not reverse it. Why? Because they carried away a captivity to deliver them up to Edom. And Edom are those that show blood, that show the blood in the flesh. They do desire the blood and do drink it. 7, so will I send a fire on the wall of Gaza, and it shall devour the palaces thereof. And these will be the palaces, these places where men have built up and made delightful now, these palaces, even their strongholds of Gaza, this place of the winepress. This wall now represents the enclosure of it, or that which strengthens it or makes it invincible. And this fire, once again, now it's going to be the law of God, because it does devour, and it will devour the palaces of Gaza. 8, and I will cut off the inhabitant from Ashdod, and him that holdeth the scepter from Ashkelon, and I will turn my hand against Ekron, and the remnant of the Philistines shall perish, saith the Lord God. Saith the Lord God. And this would also be a further judgment God is going to deliver through his work, and he's going to cut off the inhabitant of Ashdod. Ashdod is this great ruin, this place that he's going to make a great ruin, and there won't be nobody there to inhabit it. And this great ruin is this place that has become ruinous even to God. And the scepter now, once again, this strength, this power, even this judgment seat we're getting ready to find out from Ashkelon, because Ashkelon is that place of Wayne. And it is the everlasting judgment, Ashkelon, this judgment that's going to last forever until you turn and put the devoted thing away. And he said, I will turn my hand against Ekron. Now he's going to turn his hand, and this is for the work. This is the work he's going to turn his hand for. Ekron means to be ripped up violently, because that's what God's going to set his hand to do now. He's going to set his hand to rip up violently, and we'll find that's exactly what is going to happen even when we go back and read Kings, because it's for a witness, it's for a time. These are the prophecies of the end. Thus, and the remnant of the Philistines, these that have drifted, these drifters, these wanderers that wander away from the understanding of God, shall perish. 9, for this is the judgment of God. 9, thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Tyre, yes, for 4 I will not reverse it, because they delivered up a whole captivity to Edom, and remembered not their brotherly covenant. So once again now, because they've delivered up to those of Edom, those that show the blood, those that drink the blood even, they have delivered a captivity up to them. Tyre has. Tyre, this rock, and the 3 transgressions, when your transgressions are complete, for God knows this is his work. This is the work God has done. These are the judgments God has put in the earth. This is the burden. See, Amos means burden. And the words of the burden, this words of that which you have to be carried. He was the shepherd of Tekoa, this place of where the trumpets sound. See, and this is the place of warning. And these are the warning words that Amos left. Tyre, though, represents this rock. This is that God's going to use as an example. This step they've made, this little, and they've took it now, and they've used it to build an altar. And this Tyre, it represents this great merchant city. And they would use this now to lure in, to bring debt, to do all manners of evil now and against the people. And this angered the Lord, because that's not what the purpose of merchandising was. But now this was a covenant, a brotherly covenant, to help provide for all, and they have perverted it and used it for their own gain. 10. So will I send a fire on the wall of Tyre, and I shall devour the palaces thereof. So once again, God's going to send his law, though, on the wall, this enclosure of it, this where they think they're protected behind this. God's going to remove your protection by the law. This wall of Tyre. 11. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom, yes, for 4, I will not reverse it, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all the pity, and his anger did prepare perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. So, and we remember Edom. Edom is Esau, and this was the example God was making when the 2 kingdoms were divided, and Esau and Jacob was born, and Jacob inherited. Esau was the firstborn, but Jacob inherited the birthright because Esau didn't value it at all and traded it off for a pot of porridge or a bowl of porridge. And this was how it all began. This was the great example made back then, but see, God has brought it around now to show you this example of the end, how Edom, it would not be Esau himself, but his children now would hold this grudge against Israel. And this is the anger that did tear perpetually. 12. So will I send a fire upon Teman, and it shall devour the palaces of Bozrah. And it would be because of this that this Edom would be used as this great example, those that show blood in the flesh. God is declaring now he's going to send the law upon Teman. And Teman means the south, and the south means it would be on the right hand, or for the work. And this would be the reason God would send the law, is to do the work. And it shall devour the palaces of Bozrah. And Bozrah are these enclosures, or these fortresses of the sheepfold. These would be the little places where the herdsmen would bring their flocks and bring them in for the night as a protection place. And God's saying he's going to send the law there now to devour these places. Thus saith the Lord, 13, for 3 transgressions of the children of Ammon, yes, for 4, I will not reverse it, because they have ripped up the women with child of Gilead, that they might enlarge their border. 3 transgressions of children of Ammon. Now, when the transgressions are complete, because that's what we're talking about, and for 4, because it's all of the work of God. This is the work of God. He's not going to reverse it. It's an everlasting judgment. Because they have ripped up the women with child of Gilead, and Gilead was this place where the stones witnessed these, and we know what's under these stones. We know it's under these heaps of stones. We just left there. See, and this is the judgment of God. Because they ripped up the women with child, and these women with child represent those that had this understanding, and that was going to bring forth this understanding. And we will remember now, Jezebel did destroy the prophets during this period of time, and this is the history of it, and that's what we're talking about. Jezebel, this one who caused them to serve Baal, this one who deceived everyone and caused them to serve this image of the Lord of a Lord they set up over themselves. See, and that's what we're talking about here. 4, so I will kindle a fire in the wall of Rabbah, and it shall devour the palaces thereof, with shouting in the day of battle, with a tempest in the day of whirlwind, because the fire is kindled within the wall. See, inside the wall, not on top of it, but in it, because it's going to devour from within. And this wall is this great fortress they've made. And Rabbah, see, is a feminine word for great, and what it means is this great daughter, or this great teaching, because that's what a daughter is. It's from man, and it's born from a woman, this from man. And there's a teaching now that comes from this, even of this, which is going to be in the end time, this false understanding. Because Ammon are the nations. Ammon means the nations. This, and God used them as an example of the nations throughout the whole book. See? Because that's what it means. 15. And their king shall go into captivity, he and his princes together, saith the Lord. And this was the final judgment we had when we finished Kings, when we finished Samuel, when we finished Joshua. See, the end of it's always going to be the same, because, but they don't, we're going to find now the prophets are going to declare this. They don't consider the end of it, and because they can't hear and they can't understand. See, the words of there was many prophets in these days that made it plain and simple and clear, but unfortunately, by some coincidence, we don't have their literature. See, but what we do have are the literatures left by these prophets who managed to hide this treasure, managed to hide it now, and it's hidden in the words, and it's hidden in the numbers, it's hidden in the text, and it comes in the volume of the book. See, and we're going to find out the prophets are going to declare this to us, because they couldn't hide this. See, they couldn't understand it, they couldn't hear it, and it's made it through, and we're going to use it now, because that was the purpose of it from the beginning. Now we're going to move to chapter 2.